Today we wrap up the final chapter in our book, for sure, and the final episode on this video series covering the essentials and fundamentals of finance taken from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. So we're on the final chapter here, and this one is the key to success. So this ties it all together. This chapter is The Luckiest Man in Babylon. My name's Ryan J. What we've been doing with this video series is covering chapter by chapter fundamental principles as coming from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. And why did I decide to start doing this video series on this book? Well, because I'm homeschooling my kid. It's awesome curriculum is what it is. This little book gives serious wealth of information and it's written in story format, so it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool way to develop or to translate a message of finances and what interest is and loaning money and spending money and that really kind of boring conversation and bringing it into story format, which is kind of exciting to wrap your head around and gain the same knowledge in a story format. Now, another reason I'm doing this is this book was written in 1925. So some of the language is a little bit different than what we're used to hearing. Now, the second kicker, because it was written in 1925 and it's written about Babylon, which is an ancient civilization, they are taking ancient language and communicating it in, well, maybe 1925 isn't an ancient language as well. So I'm reading it to my daughter and explaining it to her along the way of the principles and what it all means. So I decided to shoot a video series on YouTube for it. So there you go. If you've missed any of the others, I will put the link for the previous episodes in the description of this video. So fear not. Oh, another way to get it is to, of course, subscribe, like it, turn on the notification bell, because I'd like to say I put out the best content on YouTube and Facebook Lives. So, just saying. All right, let's get into it here. Keys to success from the chapter, The Luckiest Man in Babylon. All right, so here's what this story and the wrap up or the grand finale, you should say, tying it all together, comes into play and is explained. And it's explained in a way that we can relate to in these days, and I'll paint that picture. So let's take, for example, somebody wise in their years and has wisdom behind them. So maybe middle-aged, maybe a grandparent, an elder. Let's say it politely rather than saying an old person. An elder wise in their ways. The elder wise in their ways notices certain characteristics of a younger generation that seem kind of disturbing towards from the elder. The elder's like, man, those crazy youth in their crazy ways, and they're dressed crazy, and where are their morals, values, and principles, and hot damn it, where's their work ethic? That's where this story starts to unravel and unfold. Now, it's a communication and a dialogue between the elder and the young buck that is totally fascinated with how would I say, in this day and age. Totally fascinated with Instagram and the scrolly Instagram and the flashy Lambos and the stacks of cash and the beach vacation behind him and the attitude of like, well, it's easy, and if I was rich, I would just sit around drinking Mai Tais on the beach with my model girlfriends and my Lambos and the stacks of cash. And that's the young bucks or young person's perception of what they would do if they were wealthy. Okay, the elder, the old guy with the wisdom, says, hang on there 1 second, sport. Let me tell you a story about how the young crazy youth is poor. He doesn't have anything. He just has these ideals. The guy that he's traveling with, the elder, because they're in a traveling caravan on camels and whatever, and they're making their way through the desert. All right, the elder has the nice horse. He's got the nice robes. He's got the velvet on the cuffs. So he's pretty sharp for an elder, or what you would say a wealthy man. He's a wealthy man. Okay? The young buck says, I wouldn't do any of that. Matter of fact, why are you driving this caravan full of mules and camels? Shouldn't you hire somebody to do that? This is where the elder has to kind of bite his tongue and break it down to the youth that, well, you know what? I got to this position because of hard work and literally nothing else. Let me explain how it went. All right, so we talked about the wisdom, the old guy, the youth, the young buck youth. Then here's how the elder, the wise man, developed and learned work ethic, because earlier on when he was a young buck himself, he was a slave, and the rules of slavery were a little bit different back then than what our definition of slavery would be. And I covered what the definition of slavery was in the previous video. It's actually kind of interesting. But he was a slave. Now, he learned how to be a good slave, which is work ethic, through conversations with other slaves. One of the ideas of being a slave was, F this, I'm not gonna work hard. The slave master can kiss my ass, and I don't deserve to be here, and I'm not gonna do this. Well, you know what? With that type of attitude, guess what happened to slaves in those times with that attitude? They got the shittiest, hardest jobs, like literally the back-breaking work. Hauling rocks up and down the scaffolding to build the wall around Babylon. They were put in the crappiest positions with the back-breaking work because of their attitude. The elder in this story, with the conversation of the slaves, was, make sure you try hard, work hard for your master, become valuable, become irreplaceable, and go in with a learning type attitude. All right, so an open mind. Yeah, it sucks, we're slaves, but you can bitch and moan and complain about it and haul rocks until literally you die, or you can become valuable to your master, which in that point, things start to change. So he took that into mind, made himself valuable and coachable to his master by saying, I don't know how to bake, but I will bake for you if you teach me. I'm a hard worker. With that type of attitude, his master hired him on, or actually hired, what am I talking? Bought him and taught him how to bake. Now, the slave guy, our elder back in his youth, learned how to bake and make pastries. While making pastries, he noticed that at the end of the day, he had extra pastries. So he asked his master if he could bring the extra pastries out into the courtyard of Babylon and start selling them. The master was like, that's a good idea. I don't see why you couldn't take these extra pastries and go sell them out in the courtyard. Thus, the slave at that point in time did that. So he was creating extra value for his master and showing his worth and bringing value. Well, what do you think happened to the guy that provided value and brought up a business idea and how to make extra revenue for his master? Well, here's how it played out. The master was like, man, I'm super excited. I'm going to give you some of your profit or some of the profit. Here's your chunk of little bronze and copper is what they were paid in, bronze and copper, and I will take my bronze and copper. So now, as a slave, he's earning money for his master and for his own purse pocket so he can increase his purse to become fatter. He kept that up. It wasn't a couple of 3-4 years later where in the courtyard, the king was, they were gonna execute one of the slaves for... One of the slaves got all wily and out of control and killed a couple of people. It was bad. It was a mess. It was a mess. He went to the courtyard to see who was putting on display and, take note. Don't act wily about it. All right. Well, lo and behold, it was the guy way earlier in his career in his situation as a slave where the guy with the pissy attitude that didn't want to work and was forced to haul rocks and break his back, yeah, that was the guy they made an example of. On the other side of the fence and situation with the positive mindset and the coachability and the work ethic, bringing value to his master, he is making money. Now, finally, it gets to a point he made so much money, he bought his freedom back from his master. And the master's like, yeah, you're awesome. You have your freedom. So he's telling this story of hard work, bringing value, going above and beyond and coachability to this young buck that he's traveling in this caravan with. And that's when it starts to set in. That, yeah, it was the journey of providing value above and beyond, and hard work, and the attitude and the mindset. That is his key to success. And that's why he's riding on the main nice stallion horse and not on one of the mules, donkeys, and on the camel. That's why he has the nice velvet and the super nice silks and clothing, because he's worked for it. And he's worked for it diligently, hard, and put in the work. Plus, it feels good and you feel accomplished after a nice hard day's work. So, the moral of the story and the key to success coming from the richest man in Babylon: provide value, become coachable, work your ass off. I hope this brought you value. Thank you very much for paying attention to this series. I will speak to you soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Make it an epic day. Bye.